else do you ever get together with people? You ever say, hey, come on over and let's be still together. Hey, let's come on over and let's just hang with each other's energy. Huh?
Yes, come over and let's don't talk.
Yeah. Right?
Emerson and Thoreau used to spend a lot of evenings that way. They didn't talk.
Who?
Emerson and Thoreau.
Oh, Thoreau. Oh.
Yeah.
So,
and to just put an aside to that, Thoreau said that he was simmering, and then he met Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Emerson brought him to a boil.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So sometimes it's my job to talk about what the heck is up on Earth. You know, what's going on planet Earth. This is one of those times that it might be good to just look at it a little bit, because there's some interesting things happening, and if we don't understand what they are, it'd be really easy to go into fear. And we know that our main goal as souls in 2013 is to stay out of fear. Because it is our mission to shift the fear, resentment, and judgment energy into love. And so the very first thing to understand is that, I mean, right now, and for those of you who are watching this at home later, it's February, what is today?
24.
24, really? Who knew? February 24th. But what I do know is that there are 5 or 6 planets in Pisces. It's what they Pisces stellium. And we have a full moon tomorrow. So if you think of Pisces and Neptune, you think of the ocean, right? No one has ever tried to move the whole of the ocean. You can't, right? It is, and it expands. And this is a really good time to be on the receiving end of energy and information. In other words, be okay with not knowing, because we're going to not know for a couple of weeks. We're not going to know what we're creating and what we can create. We, sing songs that none have sung, but don't expect that to manifest right away. Allow it to simmer. Allow it to be. Because we're in a little review here before we get launched off to the next phase. And so just be real content to allow things to happen. And if you're doing that and staying out of fear, you're going to receive intuitions. You're going to receive a lot. But if you push against the door to manifest and it pushes back at you, don't waste your energy. Okay, just know that these next 3 weeks are a time to receive, to simmer, marinate. Are there any other food type words?
Stew.
Stew? No, we don't want stew. No stew. Gestate. That brings up, that is a great word, because if you think about it, what we're doing now is, it's kind of like, we're in the year of the snake, Chinese astrology. Remember that, because we're going to be asked to shed everything that isn't love in our lives. That is a high curriculum. We are going to be called every time we react to somebody out of selfishness or judgment or our own fear. And we are going to be called to shed it. And as you've often heard me said about this year, if you don't do it, sometimes with a snake, when it's time to shed their skin, they'll get caught on something. And then they push away from it to let the old skin come off. And that's watch for that. Watch to get caught on something. If there's an energy in your life that is not comfortable right now, you've been caught. And if you go into fear or judgment and try to make it wrong so that you're off the hook, you're just know that you're on the hook. You're on the hook, And you can't get off of it until you get away from the fear and let that layer come off. We're shedding and shedding and shedding. It's such a beautiful archetype that we're in this year. And here's here's a current event. Was it a week ago now where that meteor, what was it that went over Russia? Was it an asteroid? It was UFO. Well, here's the deal. There's the old energy trying to stay on the planet. We know that is, the divide. Dog eats dog. Then there's the new energy that is planted here. What is love? Well, how can we shift this so it's a win-win, right? We've had solar, that we're going through, we've been in a solar flare activity. 2013 is the peak of our solar flares. Now the solar flares are not just the sun exploding. The solar flares is the energy coming to the earth. It is literally going into our DNA to shift it and reactivate some dormant pieces of us. Growth. And the asteroid, did you notice we have thousands of satellites and different things around our atmosphere, don't we? Isn't it really interesting that that was able to get in, not hit a plane, not hit any satellite, just came in, boom, give us a new boost of energy, and gone again? Sure, it blew out some windows and that sort of thing. But then a lot of people, the sky is falling, now we're going to get into... There's another way of looking at this. We are being given new energies from the inside and from the outside to change. Have you considered that asteroid brought in an energy that hadn't been around? Now, in the old prophecies, when those asteroids and the different comets and stuff got close, it was supposed to be the end. We're beyond that. We made it past that. It's not going to be the end anymore. It's food for the beginning. Now, isn't that a little bit different than, oh my goodness, we're going to have a period of time now where we could be destroyed by flying particles in the atmosphere? What if it's here? What if they're here to support us, to change us, to wake us up? You see, that is what the whole universe is saying. Wake up, humanity. Wake up. The earth is going back to fifth dimension. You're going, you're going to stay back. And I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but now is the time to really get it in ourselves that everybody on the earth at this time is being called to shift to a higher vibration and to notice that the universe is giving us the energy to do that. But if we go into fear, if we believe the media and all that sort of thing, we are going to withdraw and collapse. And that's the old energy fighting to maintain control. So that's why if you look at this poem, this beautiful poem from Yogananda, do it differently. Don't be afraid to think differently, to be creative differently, to live your life differently. Get up in the morning, it's a whole new lifetime. Every day is a new opportunity, a new life. Get into community that's going to allow you the creativity of thought. That get some friends that are going to say, that you can go to and say, I have this crazy idea. Can I share it with you? And they go, I love crazy ideas. Bring it on. And to them, it's not crazy. They're seeing it as a unique piece of creativity. Wow. Right? And it's on everything. It's how do we educate and bring up our children? How do we birth our children? See, this is what we're doing in Pisces. Talking about child, someone said nurturing and gestation. If we were those who are pregnant I know there's at least one in the room. When you know you're going to have a baby, we make plans to have that baby. We decide the birthing room. We decide we're going to do it at home. We're going to do a doctor. We're going to do midwife. We're going to do something in between. And you plan who's going to be at your birth. And you plan how you're going to do it. And then you continue with your pregnancy. And as labor begins and the baby begins to make its way in, you have to surrender to what is. You've planned, you've done everything you can, but you relax and allow what needs to happen to be birthed and happen. And then you're completely surrendered to what has been given and what is. And you rise to that moment and that occasion, right? And we stay out of fear, and we're in the new birth. That's where we're as a collective. We're birthing the new. We're not there yet. We're all incubating. So these next few weeks, feel free to incubate a new part of yourself. Gestate a new part of yourself. If you can't manifest it right now, just get familiar with it and connect with Spirit. This is a time to connect with Spirit and to see things as if we were blind to the material world. And I'm going to end with this story. This really stuck in my mind. When I was about 17, Flossie was 18. Those of you who know my sister Floss, she's a year older than I am. And we were on the road in a show. We were in a show group, kind of a lounge show. And we were playing in Richmond, Virginia. And so Stevie Wonder came in to play. Yeah, Stevie came in to play the big auditorium there. So his band, and he stayed in this hotel that we were the lounge show for. So they came and invited us to drinks, and we got to know them, and then they invited us to their show. Oh my gosh, Stevie was so amazing. He had had an accident, which almost took his life. And after that, he found the Spirit within him. His life totally changed, because I don't know if he had a near-death experience, but he almost died, and he came back, and then he was the Stevie we know and love now. So he had just came through that horrific experience. His energy, we were on the chairs dancing and singing. Oh my gosh, it's just so wonderful. And so when we were talking to his band, we didn't get to meet Stevie, but we were talking to his band, and they were telling us what it's like to travel and live with him. And they said it's the most amazing thing. He doesn't have physical eyes, but he walks into the room and he'll sit in the most comforting, beautiful place. Even to the point, Stevie was young at the time, and probably can still do it now though. They said it's the craziest thing. He'll know, he can pick out the most beautiful women in the room and go talk to them in a party. He said, how does he know? And they were telling us how he's got sight without physical eyes. And I was thinking about that this morning, because that's what we're developing. Our eyes, our physical eyes right now, are getting in the way. Let's not depend so much on the information and what we perceive with the physical eyes. This is a great time to meditate. Open the inner eye and find the inner beauty. Find that sweet spot. It's a training, right? Don't sit down once and say, I don't see any light. I don't feel any peace. That doesn't work for me. It's a training. We're being trained now. That's what this time is for. Feel with the solar flares and the different things that are flying around our atmosphere. It's to open. It's giving us energy to open to our vast potential. And the more of us that open, the more smoothly the birth into the new day will come. And it's coming.
So she doesn't usually reveal her past, Tricia, but did you hear that? 17, doing lounge shows.
The truth of the matter is, I was so bored in school. And all my friends were going, I'm going to college, I'm going to college. Oh, I am not going to college. Put me in a room for 4 more years? No, thank you. So the only thing I knew how to do was dance and perform, so we went on this road. So there you go.
She never likes me to bring up this next thing, because we haven't written our book yet, and I know until I can get approval from her for the title, we probably won't. Here it is. Tell me you wouldn't pick it up at Barnes & Noble anywhere. You know what our book is called? The Monk and the Showgirl. Right? Wouldn't you, though, wouldn't you want to look at that? She won't let me. That's why we don't have it out on the counter
Because I wasn't a showgirl.
Lounge, what the difference? Lounge,
Performers are watching.
I know. But just for a slight little thing, look at how captivating.
Oh, good one.
How
What's the
captivating.
difference between a monk and a showgirl was the question.
Right.
Right now, nothing.
So, anyway, all her comments this morning are just chock full, right? I mean, it's like an idea. It's like an idea, you know. You get an idea. I saw some kind of a technology corporation put out this beautiful ad, one-pager, and it was just frames, maybe 12 frames. And the first frame is a light bulb, and it's just like bright, right? By the bottom in frame, it was out. And everywhere in between was just a little comment underneath that idea. And it was a technology about ideas, innovative ideas. So underneath, like that second frame was, it doesn't sound like us. And the bulb got a little less bright. And then, you know, oh yeah, well, I don't think we can approach that now, maybe later. So each comment was like taking this idea that's pure from your causal body, you know, just like ideas are the most purest thing about you and me. And then one of them, I remember, oh, let's play devil's advocate. And the thing got darker and darker by the time it was all out. So part of this updating ourselves, staying abreast of even technology, you know. The Matrix, that was such a cool movie because what happened was that machines got ahead of our evolvement. Technology is getting ahead of some of us, because what do you do when you get an update on your computer? Do you say, remind me later? What do you do when you get an insight? Oh, that was nice. But are you taking that idea as pure gold? And if I acted on that idea, the whole universe would kick in, and I would be at a new level of myself in line with this really evolving energies that Tricia mentioned. And it's like, you know, it's like she just got a iPhone 5, Tricia did. And I looked at that thing, and it was sleek, longer than my 4, and thinner, and lighter. And then she starts talking like crazy to Siri, you know, like crazy. Mine doesn't always pick up the words. In fact, I got in big trouble, you know, kind of dictating when I shouldn't be dictating when driving, but I don't do that. I really don't do that. But one time I did, and I swear, and I pressed send. I don't know if Bailey's here, but and Bailey got this thing, and I read it later, and it was totally horrible thing I said. And it took me a while to beg for her forgiveness and say, no, it was Siri's mistake, not me. Anyway, so already look at technology, and there's people that are always on the front end in R&D, right, with technology. Now, that is a perfect example about what new program we are bringing in. So there's probably computer software people out here, right? And it's like, God, you're just like fixed on that. You're like every little detail of this program. Are we even close to that in bringing in new wisdom for ourselves? New outrageous ideas. To the point, because you know why it's hard for you and me to get up and sing a song that none has sung? Or to think thoughts that ne'er in brain? It's because of the devil advocate people. That maybe we're hanging around too many of them. Maybe it's even close in our home. You come and you have an idea, and all of a sudden it's just like totally ripped apart. It's totally negated. And you've heard that all your life. So now you don't even want to come forward with your ideas or the intuitions or the updates from spirit, so you can stay abreast of these amazing, dynamic, soul-evolving times we are in. 2013, are you kidding? We just ended the Mayan calendar, starting another thousands and thousands of year cycle. And these early days, and I'm talking about the early days, today and tomorrow and the rest of February and March, is so critical for the setup for you to set the intention, that you know you're going to redo yourself over. That anything that's old that isn't giving you the vigor, isn't giving you the deeper satisfaction, isn't giving you that feeling that, wow, this is unique, I'm unique, you're unique. If that's gone, if that luster is gone, or if you don't even know if you love the ones that you're still saying you love. If you searched your heart and searched your soul and you go, I don't know where that feeling went. And then you start feeling bad because you think that you should be loving them. But guys, unless we update every day, with a meditation, with a prayer, with yoga, with a strong intention that, we want to be ourselves, that we want to know source. We want to know potential. We want to manifest. We want to manifest potential like no one else has done it. As Yogananda said elsewhere, do things that no one else has done. Do little things in an extraordinary way. So you can go about in consciousness, vacuuming your home today or cleaning up the dishes in an extraordinary new way. And that's part of the new programming. It's just that we're just not, compulsed to do these duties and not have joy in our heart. Why would we get stuck like that? Why have we gotten stuck like that? I'll tell you why, because there's a great cosmic hypnosis, that's why. And it says in Gita, which we're going to have today, and it's going to be, in case you guys have 3 hours of free time to total update, this is the ancient wisdom of the Gita presented with more fun, more pure joy and love than any other presentation. I'm putting a stake on the ground. Because the Gita says, concentrate only on attainment of joy in God. And I bet you could pull out your Torahs and your Bibles and all your other holy scriptures and you'd see the same thing. Happiness. Reclaim your kingdom of happiness, Reclaim yourself as a child of the infinite. Don't worry. Be happy. Everything is okay. And there was a song in my day, I don't know if you remember it, but it said, instead of breaking up is hard to do. Right? Instead of breaking up now. How's it go?
Instead of breaking up, I wish that we were making up
again. Yeah. So, because breaking up is hard to do.
I guess I'm from your day.
Because breaking up is hard to do. Well, waking up is really hard to do.
Waking up, there you go.
That waking up is hard to do. Because of this mass hypnosis. Because you just don't walk down the street and everybody's going, wow, man, I totally get you. And that idea you had. So be with me on this. This thing could change your life. Next time you get an idea or someone else gets, before you jump in and say your 2 cents of what you think isn't right about it, don't do it ever again. Empower that person with that pure idea. Even if you don't agree with it. They had an idea. If it's a negative idea, you're going to practice nonviolence like Gandhi. I'm not saying that. But if it's anywhere in the realm of being a positive idea, totally support that soul. Because that idea came as an update into them. And Source wants them to follow up on that idea. Write that poem if you got inspired to write a poem. Make that phone call to somebody and think, well, no, it wasn't really worth it. If you want to move your project along, your creative project along. Do it. Just do it. And stay away from the naysayers. Stay away, which probably the number one is you. Because there's only naysayers out there if you're one yourself. If you're positive with yourself, all you see out there are positive people. All you're going to be attracted to is positive people. If you say to yourself, I am a soul, and I'm going to put my attention in bringing in a program called my soul script. I am going to move everything out of my files, reboot this program of my mind, because quite frankly, it's pretty conditioned, and I think we all can admit that. And I'm going to bring in a whole new script. And it may consist with 5 truths. It may consist of 1. Be kind to others as you are to yourself. Do unto others as you do unto yourself. And as Trish said, how are we going to replace the fear? And you may say, well, I don't know if I'm always in fear. But if you stop and hesitate and you doubt, baby, you are in fear. You are in big time fear. If you're judging anyone or anything, if you're making even the worst person in this creation that's done the most horrendous things to other people, maybe it's thousands of people, maybe it's a nation's leader, and if you are making that person wrong at all, you are in fear. You don't realize that. If there's anything in politics that still pushes your button, or as Trish says, our teachers now, right? Those people are in our life to bring us out, and everyone is being dragged out of the closet. And there's just these big time, look at Lance Armstrong. Are you kidding me? Look what happened to Tiger Woods. Are you kidding me? And there's going to be strings and strings upon other people called out in the same way.
Good time to stay in integrity.
It is such an amazing time to stay in integrity, and part of this integrity is following up on this intuition, which I hope you guys are giving yourself some downtime and some quiet time, because that intuition can come only when you are still and your heart is loving and you are rid yourself of fear, and as best you can, so focused on what you want. Because it's one thing to go into a dark room and say, I'm going to get rid of fear. I got to shed all my fear. And you just keep like, I'm going to get rid of it. But you don't go turn on the light switch. You're going to stay in the dark. So it's not about that. I do believe it is about the new program that you're going to co-create. As Trish mentioned also earlier, we're co-creators. That you're going to co-create with your soul/spirit. That you're going to bring into your brain. And it's just all about loving all the time. It's all about being joyous all the time. It's like seeing something in the news, and with a little bit of cosmic wisdom, which the Gita is all about as well, cosmic wisdom, you can say everything is light. I mean, Einstein was just outrageously happy on the inside because he knew this universe was made of energy and light, right? So he couldn't get really totally bummed out if some scene in this creation, some act of violence, people dying, or whatever, disease taking thousands of lives, whatever. He couldn't really get too bummed out because he knew it's just light and energy, and it just transforms back into more of your original nature. So don't you see why the Gita says, send love and light, and 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 send love and light, when you see something that your mind wants to say, bad, wow, that was the worst thing. Then your mind, which you aren't able to control yet, takes control of that, and you go to sleep with that. And then you can't get it out of your mind. You know, that is total paranoia. That is total insanity when you don't have control of your thoughts. So welcome to the planet of the insane. Because how many people do, really? Right? But that doesn't mean that now we shouldn't go on a major quest to say, what is my soul script? What are the thoughts that I want to think? What are the corresponding feelings that I want to think? Nobody's able to do that. You know, you might take that poem that we sang today. Sing songs that none have sung, think thoughts that ne'er in brain have rung, walk in paths that none have trod, and weep tears as none have shed for God. Do you know there's not many souls on the planet shedding tears for God? They're shedding tears of grief because they think something shouldn't have happened. It didn't happen the way they want it to happen. So they're in grief and they suffer because of it. But how many are really shedding tears for God? Even one golden tear, you know, even if it doesn't fall out of the end of your eye, even if it doesn't fall out of the end of your eye, you could still, in your meditation today, get down to your rock bottom core and some way, somehow, cry a tear for truth. Cry a tear for love. Cry a tear that the violence that people are involved in and the education that children are getting is just perpetuating this fear, consciousness. Now, can't we create a new world one tear at a time? Each one of us today, you have no idea what that moment with Source can do for you. Because if you can be a master of that one moment at a time, you can be a master of your life. So what I do for me now, because, you know, it's all about that focus, isn't it? It's all about knowing what you want, making a stand with what you want, and then saying, hell or high water, I'm going to take total accountability that I'm going to achieve this. I'm going to become this. I'm going to do that. And if I radically need to change everything about my life, which you will, especially your consciousness, then by Jove, go ahead and do it. But I'm down to 6 breaths when I meditate now, 6 breaths, because I am on a vigilance not to let my attention leave the joy, not to let my attention wander from the love that I feel moving through my heart and into some very, very dark areas of my consciousness where I have made something wrong or where I'm holding subterranean fears of many lifetimes. And I take it into those places now, and I'm starting to feel tremendous about that, because now even those deep, dark, I call them DDSs, my deep, dark secrets, they're starting to come out into the open, into the light of my own soul consciousness, see? But if I wander in those 4 breaths, that's okay, because I have a soul script that I follow of maybe, I don't know, 30 plus points that is my soul script when I meditate, points that over 40-something years of spiritual living said, these I cannot live without. Me forgiving myself every day, that is a point that, sorry folks, I am in my brain now as part of my new software, and every day as much as possible I'm going to forgive myself. Another thing that's part of my everyday is appreciation energy. Appreciation energy, Esther Hicks says, is even more important than gratitude energy because it's next to your soul. It is your soul, appreciation energy. So one of the points that I make in 6 breaths is to make sure I tap into that pristine consciousness of appreciation. So you might say, well, what is appreciation? Why is it different from gratitude? Here is one way to separate the two. You really don't have to. They're close enough. Trust me, they're both beautiful. But appreciation is that, like, from this moment on, you had a benefactor in your life that made sure that all your needs were taken care of, for starters. Wow. Any strings? No. We're going to take care of that for you. That you had an absolute prognosis, so to speak, that your health was going to be shining and beautiful for the rest of the days that you were in physical body. And across the board, that you are extremely loved, extremely taken care of. You never have to worry. You just have the dream aligned with the divine plan, and it will manifest in this life. And you keep going like that until all of a sudden you're just blown away in appreciation of how this universe takes care of you, how the universe loves you, how the universe is your servant, until you are completely blown away and all you need is 6 breaths at a time with that virtue. But you decide which are your own, and that's what you meditate on every single day. A lot of you guys are still well hoppers or church hoppers, which is okay. You go to a place and you get some inspiration until all of a sudden you find something wrong about it. And you go, yeah, see, and you get really cynical about that place, and you hop to another spiritual teacher, and eventually you keep hopping because you keep finding something wrong. Really, there might not be anything wrong with them, but they said something that kind of pushed a button of one of your sacred cows, right? They told me that if I'm not married, that I should be celibate. Wow, I'm going to another teacher. There's a story of this guy who went up to the Himalayas seeking his guru, right? He got up there, find his long trek. It was really a long trek. And he got up there, and this guy with the knotted hair, you know how they look, and a beard, and meditating with just a loincloth on, and it's freezing cold. And he said, sir, how do I find enlightenment? And the master just said, well, you're going to need to discipline yourself. You're going to need to control your senses. You're going to need to purify your heart. And he went on, and finally the guy looked at him and said, is there anyone else up here I can talk to? So it's our selective hearing. But you're going to be called out, though. You are going to be called out. So you might as well be called out in the safety, so to speak, of your own conscience and your own consciousness, while still you haven't really gone too far with that thinking, too far with those actions, too far with that, just being ruled by ego side of you. And you're able now to, as Yogananda said, discipline your body, discipline your mind, control your senses, find God. That you can take a lot of misery, see, because we forget we're living on a planet, that if we forget source, if we forget our divinity, if we forget this potential, if we forget to update, and I mean update, baby, because you think technology's growing fast? Your soul has potential to grow even faster by the breath. By the breath. One breath if we offer to Spirit, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita. Don't let one breath go by without making that uplift your soul and put your heart even higher than it was before. Not one breath. So the potential of you and me to evolve in the short season of this life is exponential.
Especially now, I really want to say the energy now to do what he's talking about. There has never been greater energy that is more supportive. So it's
stick to your plan.
It's now.
Stick to your plan. Don't jump away from these inspirations that have really served you well, but you haven't baked yet. You haven't gestated them yet. You haven't put them in the oven of meditation until they really have risen, so to speak. Because again, we jump. It's because we're still restless, because we still get caught, right? But now you know, come right back. It says in Gita, if, yes, your very powerful self-control will be wrested from you. There will be temptation. It will come to you, even stronger than your strong self-control. But that's okay. Immediately come back and let that mind be brought under your soul's governance again. And if you find your heart breaking, recurb it. Recurb it as soon as possible. So the strategy of this new program is one of those non-negotiables in your life. And this idea of an environment where you can show up, crawl to, feel like hell in, not feeling in tune with it at all, but you know, because it is a good environment for you to be in, for soul evolution, then get that community up there and show up and show up and show up. And then together, our potential, my friends. How many of you are harboring such amazing, amazing seed ideas with that light bulb still bright enough that we can get together and say, yes, we're concerned about our children too. Trish and I are so always been on passion with, even before couples get married. I just wrote a couple and they said, can you marry me in April? And I could get a sense that they just wanted a wedding. I wrote them back, said, sorry, Charlie. I didn't say it that way, but I said, not until you go through a series of educational courses with me, because I just don't do weddings anymore. It's much too important of a step in life to take without the consciousness.
Without training.
Without training, without the consciousness. And then what, to bring a child in? Are you kidding me? Another soul? So now you're accountable to this other soul. Your consciousness is accountable to this other soul. Good news if you're bringing in a child. Good news. Because now, with you making a stand today, breath by breath, 6 breaths by 6 breaths, by setting an intention and updating that intention over and over again every time you need to recurb and see yourself getting off the track. But now, can't you see the potential that you can be everything that you can be? Hello, that's original, right? But it's a great saying. It's a great saying. And that you can change the course of not only your life, but the course of the lives of those around you and the lives of those who are in your outer circle of influence. One last thing, an ashram story. One of my buddies decided to leave. I loved the guy. In fact, he trained me in to be a cook before I entered the ashram as a resident lay disciple cook at Lake Shrine, and he was leaving. And the brother who's in charge of us told me later, after he had left, he said that he told him, because he could see, he could read people's charts, because he had a green thumb for nature and he had a green thumb for souls. And he could see the course and the trajectory of ourselves. When we get off course, he could see where that would end, and he could see potentially the course if we stayed on course. And you know what he said to me one day? He said, you, my boy, can go all the way in this life. And he was a true seer of souls. But you know what he told me about this other guy? Because I was so concerned about him. I said, brother, how's he going to fare out there? He's barely hanging in here, but at least he's kind of happy, right? Sure, it's hard, and he has a lot of desires. And brother said, it's like a bullet that just went out of a gun when he decided not to stay on the path. And he said, there's no way you're going to stop that bullet from him suffering quite a bit in this life. So, being a soul, Superman, Superwoman, we can stop the speed of a speeding bullet, right? We can stop the trajectory, my friends, with lots of strategy around love and reverence and devotion to the One.